Biden's bid to stop Hunter's hunt. Biden's forgettable tenure. Fatherly love or gross overreach. No pardon for undemocratic U-turn. President set for Trump's self-pardon.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is said that there are places in your heart you don't know exist until you have a child. In Joe Biden's case, that place seems to be a space where his words and actions don't match. Taking a complete U-turn from his earlier stance of not pardoning his son, Biden has gone ahead and given a full and unconditional presidential pardon to Hunter Biden. Take a look at the number of times White House Press Secretary Karine Pierre has strongly refuted a pardon by Joe Biden in the past.
Second one, would the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear, and I said no.
But from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
The president would not pardon or commute the sentence for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
Yet the father in Joe Biden took precedence over the president in him. Hunter is a convicted felon on 3 counts for purchasing a gun in 2018 and lying on a federal form that he was not illegally using or addicted to drugs. The prosecution claimed that cocaine residue had been found in his gun pouch. He also pled guilty on 9 charges of tax evasion during his business with China. The tax charges against Hunter Biden, remember, carry up to 17 years of prison time, and the gun charges are punishable by up to 25 years in prison. His father, Joe Biden, said that the pardon covers all offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from 1st January 2014 through 1st December 2024. He has also accused the Republicans of singling out his 54-year-old son. Here's what Biden has said, and I quote him: "No reasonable person who looks at the fact of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than the fact that Hunter was singled out only because he's my son, and that is wrong," unquote. Now, this decision, remember, comes in the final weeks of Biden's presidency and Donald Trump's inauguration as the next U.S. president, who, by the way, himself is a convicted felon. Reacting to the announcement, Trump criticized it as an abuse and miscarriage of justice. Now, even as Republicans slam Biden for his hypocrisy, the question for a man who has upheld justice all along as the American president is, what kind of legacy does he leave behind now? Let me welcome my guests on Global Mirror. I'm joined by Mr. Vibhuti Jha, former Republican candidate for New York Assembly. I'm joined by Christopher Hale, Democratic strategist, and Irina Sukuman, national security lawyer and geopolitical analyst. Good evening and namaskar to all of you. Christopher, let me begin with you. You know, this entire announcement of pardoning your own son has really left not just Americans, but the entire world divided. Some say that this is a father's love, and it's no surprise that it's coming in from a father and a man who has gone through some very deep personal tragedies in the past. And the other half say that, you know what, this doesn't mean anything when you're working for a country, when you're the American president, and when in the past you've said that you will not be pardoning your son. Isn't that rather hypocritical on Joe Biden's part?
Well, look, I think that he never should have agreed to the idea that he wouldn't pardon his son. I think the vast majority of folks in my party, myself included, agree with the president that Hunter was selectively targeted because he was the president's son. These charges came out of a Republican investigation trying to get dirt through Congress on President Biden. Look, in terms of corruption, you know, just last week, President-elect Trump, decided to nominate to the ambassador of France, Jared Kushner's father, who worked for him in his first administration, who is his son-in-law. and he pardoned this man. So he has a convicted felon who he pardoned on his last day in office, who he named to be ambassador of France. Honestly, I think Joe Biden should just go ahead and nominate Hunter Biden to be ambassador to Ukraine in these final 2 months. The idea that Republicans are calling foul on this is rich.
Christopher,
They
I
have a
understand your
president who
point,
is
but
convicted.
what Republicans say and do is secondary in this case, and what Joe Biden has said and has done currently is the primary, case, is the primary point. It is hypocritical, and you've given, Republicans the ammo that they need right now. You've been accusing Donald Trump of being hypocritical, then you go ahead and do the exact same thing.
Look, I don't think he ever should agree to the idea that he wasn't going to pardon Hunter Biden. I think that was the mistake here. The mistake was not, I don't think, the pardon itself. It was in fear for his political life that throughout this year, even after he dropped out for the Democratic nomination, to say that he wasn't going to pardon his son. That was political crass. I think this move itself, while I don't agree with the precedent it sets, I understand why he did it. I think the mistake here was ever saying earlier this year and last year that he would pardon his son. I honestly think that anyone who knows Joe Biden was very skeptical that that was true, and he shouldn't have said it to the American people at the time.
Okay. Mr. Vibhuti, can this entire pardoning of your own son, Hunter Biden, be passed off as a mistake, or should we see it as a planned strategy before and after the elections? During the campaigning, you say you're not going to pardon your son. After the elections, you say, well, he has been targeted by the opposition, and that's why the facts say that, he's innocent.
Thank you very much for having me here. And this is a fun time for me. I would love to see how the Democratic strategists spin the whole story to their liking, as if Hunter was the targeted. But the bigger issue here is Hunter was lucky that his father is the president of the United States and he could pardon him. So to use the karma is a bitch angle, he survived. His karma was good, that his father is the president, and he admitted that my father's affection has also led to this pardon. Now let's look at it this way. Christopher was talking about, that he should never have admitted that he will not pardon. Do you realize the kind of spin that is being spun around here? He should not have committed to that. That means you are bypassing all the allegations that that Hunter is encountering right now. So even before he is convicted as charged, the bigger issue here is that how Joe Biden himself lied about all the involvements that Hunter Biden had in his unholy career that he has had. This pardon means happy days are here again for Hunter Biden, and he can go on doing what he wants to do. So this is very, very tragic. This pardon is a very interesting concept that all presidents have, and they have exercised it to all the unsavory elements who were serving jail terms. But in this particular case, it is preempting. That means he knows. Biden has consistently said that my son has committed no mistake. But we all know now that the famous laptop was real. Every single newspaper media, every single critic has said that those were real. So 51 FBI officials who said it was a Russian conundrum, Russian disinformation campaign, they should be shamed. President Biden's legacy is in tatters. 50 years plus of a checkered career is down in the dumps. That's what Mr. Biden will be remembered as. And insofar as the convicted felon story about Trump is concerned, we all now know that the attorneys or the district attorney in New York upgraded the misdemeanor to felon and charged it as such. So there was a game play that Trump was a brave man. He fought. He fought all of the legal cases, and now that from Jack Smith down the line, all the charges have been dropped or they are being filed for dismissal. This is really a sad story on American
justice. Mr. Jha, let me take this across to Christopher Hale. Christopher, exactly what my next question was. The fact that Trump now comes in as the US president, he has the power to pardon himself. And tomorrow, if he says that, whatever I was charged with and I was accused of, that was all political singling out, just as Hunter Biden was, as Joe Biden claimed, what do you do then? Will the Democrats have the moral right to question Donald Trump that time?
Look, I think that the reality of it is it is questionable whether or not Trump can pardon himself. He could try, and they'll probably go to the Supreme Court. Of course, he picked three of those Supreme Court nominees, so he might be in the political advantage with the Supreme Court on that. But I'll say this: the reason that Trump is no longer facing those charges is not because of the efficacy or truth of the charges. It's because he was elected president of the United States. He took a risk, and he said that I'm going to fight these charges. And the only way, he's the only citizen in this country who can avoid criminal charges by virtue of his office. No governor, no senator, no representative can do that, but he has the ability to do that for at least the next 4 years to bypass those charges. And Democrats should respect that. He won the election. We honor the rule of law. The president has the power to pardon both presidents of both parties. So, Donald Trump has pardoned Jared Kushner, his daughter's husband, and we have to honor the system that we live in. So I think we have to respect President Biden's ability to pardon. But yes, on January 20th, so too does President Trump have that same ability, and it's the rule of law. We might not like the outcomes of it or the decisions that were made behind it, but we honor the rule of law. So as a Democrat, a partisan Democrat, a lifelong Democrat, you can quote me here on January 20th, President Trump will have the ability to pardon who he mays, and we may not like it, but we honor the rule of law.
And since you mentioned January 20th, Christopher, Donald Trump has also asked about whether January 6th accused will be pardoned. Don't you think Joe Biden should have done that as well, if we're really talking about political accusations and political singling out? That's what the Republicans will give you as a reason.
I was there on January 6th, 2021 in Washington, D.C. I saw those defendants, those folks in prison, use American flags to beat and bloody citizens. It's all in the flesh. I saw what they did. They're tyrants. They're insurrectionists. But once again, that if Trump wants to go ahead and pardon men and women who beat and bloody cops in an attempt to overthrow a legal election in the United States, have at it. It is his right to do so. We will disagree with his decision, but no one here should defend January 6th insurrectionists. I don't know if you saw the videos. I was there in the flesh. I saw it happen in the flesh, and they should be ashamed of themselves that they try to kill officers of this great country. And if Donald Trump doesn't care about the police, that's fine. Have at it. Go ahead and pardon him. He's won the election. He has the right to do so. But no one, I hope your other guests will not defend the integrity of these men and women who bloodied American police officers.
Okay. Let me also get in Irina into this conversation. Irina, beyond the political debate that is happening between the Democrats and the Republicans, there's also a humanitarian view in this entire thing where people are saying that, Joe Biden has gone through some very deep personal tragedies in the past. He lost his first wife and their daughter to a car crash. Then his son, Bo, died of brain cancer. And therefore, to have your child be accused of something as serious as, tax evasion or drug abuse would have pained Joe Biden as a father, and therefore, just cut him some slack, give him some benefit of doubt, and let him pardon him just as a father.
I would be very much willing to do that had Hunter Biden's crimes consisted of the gun charges and the drug-related charges that everyone is talking about and that he was actually charged. But let's note the wording of the pardon, which pardons him for all crimes against the United States committed in the past 10 years, including the ones he was not actually charged with or that he may have committed. So what is that in fact referring to? From a national security standpoint, it's referring to the acts of corruption and the acts of being compromised, likely compromised, and seeking national security information to foreign actors while in a state of being under the influence um, or being engaged in those other lesser crimes. And those crimes Hunter was never charged with. But those crimes implicate Joe Biden himself. They may implicate other members of the family. They may even implicate people outside the family who are members of the Democratic Party who were somehow involved with the Bidens. And those are far more serious charges. And it was a strategic mistake by the Republicans to focus on Hunter Biden's person and to focus on these lesser crimes that Republicans themselves very often consider not worth prosecuting, instead of focusing on national security and corruption concerns that framed this entire debate. So
Okay.
the actions of the Republicans were not in not charging Hunter Biden and not focusing on the examining these very serious underlying issues were not in line with their own rhetoric. However, that also doesn't mean that Joe Biden is entirely motivated by humanitarian concerns. I think the fact that these issues could have come up under the new Republican administration and Republican Congress were very much in the back of Joe Biden's mind, which is why he issued the pardon well after the election, when the election results were known and when it became clear that a Republican Congress could delve into these greater crimes had if he does not pardon Hunter and if he does not actually frame the debate as basically closing all these issues for the past 10 years. So the issue is not just humanitarian concern for Hunter.
Right. So, of course, Joe Biden acted out of the
but also
fact that there was anxiety that Donald Trump will come in and what he'll do of this entire case. But Vibhutija, I want to refer to what Eric Holder, a former Attorney General, had said at one point, and I quote him: "No U.S. attorney would have charged this case given the underlying facts. After a 5-year investigation, the facts as discovered only made that clear. Had his name been Joe Smith, the resolution would have been fundamentally and more fairly a declination." The fact of the matter is that a lot of observers say that factually the case was in favor of Hunter Biden, and that what Joe Biden is saying, that there was political singling out, that the Republicans were really, quote unquote, hunting Hunter, was actually a reality.
It's fascinating that, I agree with Irina that, Republicans probably should have gone for the bigger crimes that he has committed. But as you know how the legal loops play, you try to get the person for the lies, deceptions, and, conflagrations that they have done actually. That's what is important in any legal tangle that one gets into. But Eric Holder is really being very cheesy. As if it is like same crimes that were alleged, let's use the word alleged, against Hunter. Had it been against any of Trump's children, that would have been a global story. The Democrats would have had a field day if any of Trump's children were accused of these very things. The absolutely, undesirable things, illegal things, lies and deceptions that went on, including the national security risk that has happened with reference to Ukraine and his China tanglings. This is what is important for us. See, this is what my thought process is. In democracy, freedom and the rule of law gets abused very systematically. And I'm talking about in a broader aspect, because when it is very difficult to prove a crime beyond a reasonable doubt for a jury to give a verdict, and all that the defense lawyers have to do is to create a doubt. This is what is the benefit part of which Biden is doing against Hunter. If they believe that Hunter was not guilty and all the charges were framed up charges, why didn't they let the rule of law take its course? They did not. They feared that he would be convicted. And that's what it has led to, this parental love and affection to undermine US security risks, which Irina was talking about. And I'm looking forward to the Democratic Party's spin. Eric Holder very cleverly in the same tweet brought in Kash Patel. And I told him that that was absolutely evil genius, that how you bring in Kash Patel, who has no link to any of these things. And they feared that this man knows a lot and a lot will come out. And that's the reason that Biden acted, in total disregard of his own commitment and promises made to the American people that he will not pardon Hunter come what may. And you showed it very well. Karinja,
Okay.
KGP is doing that. Yeah.
Okay, Christopher, one of the speculations and the conspiracy theories that is going on after this move has been how the Biden family allegedly received millions in dealings with Ukraine and China, and how Joe Biden, in pardoning Hunter Biden, has sort of pardoned himself as well through this entire speculation of being a corrupt family. Your response to that? Christopher, I request you to unmute yourself, please.
Sorry about that. My party had control of the United States House of Representatives for 4 years. We had control of the United States Senate for the same amount of time. Not once did we do an inquiry about Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Ivanka Trump, Tiffany Trump, Varen Trump, Melissa Trump. The idea that the Democrats ever had complete control of power of this entire city for 4 years, and not once did they do that. It's an absurd claim. It's a bereft on merits itself, and it's an absurd thing to suggest the Democrats ever would and did do that. You did. The Republicans did. The Republican Party did. And I guarantee you, on January 3rd, when the Republicans take complete control of the House, complete control of the Senate, on January 20th, when they take complete control of the presidency, I bet you your bottom dollar that they will use every investigative, legal, political tool to continue to go after Joseph Robinette Biden after he's left the White House. And if there's a crime there, I guarantee you they'll find it. He pardoned Hunter. He did not pardon himself. If he committed a crime, they will find it. And the idea that Democrats target family members and Republicans do not is absurd. The fact is just the opposite. It's pure and total gaslighting. The evidence is in the past. It's the proof's in the pudding. But if Joe Biden committed crimes, the Republicans will find it. And he did not pardon himself. He only pardoned his son. I guarantee you they'll find it if he did it. And here's the truth. He didn't. He didn't do it. The absurd claim will be proven false. They tried to impeach the guy for two years, James Comer, and they found zero, nothing. But they can try again.
Okay, Vibhuti Jha, you want to respond to the fact that you go ahead, respond to that. But my other question to you is how Republicans are being questioned about what Donald Trump did in the past and what he's doing now. He's pushing for Charles Kushner, somebody he pardoned in the past, his son-in-law's father. In Hindi, we also call that Samdhi. He's done that, for his son-in-law's father. Bill Clinton's done it in the past. How do you then see that? How do you respond to the fact that Donald Trump has been one of the guys who's done the same thing in the past?
Look, I totally agree with you. Earlier I said that pardon is a very strange mechanism in the US Constitution that the president has. So Bill Clinton onwards and all the presidents, if you see, they have pardoned very unsavory people. But the question here is Hunter. Hunter is not an absurd claim. Like Christopher was talking about, that it is an absurdity. Yes, the Democrats did try to get any of the Trump children, and they put them under severe investigation and also questioning on various cases regarding Trump's business empire. They tried to get him, but fortunately for them, they had not committed a crime to be caught. In the case of Hunter, it's undisputed from his laptop onwards, Ukraine connection onwards, China connection onwards, he was a national security risk. And therefore, there was no cook-up of charges. All those things are there for everybody to see. Unless you are pretending to be blind, then you accuse others of being absurd when you are yourself being so absurd in making those claims.
Okay, I'll have to wrap it up here. I have paucity of time. Thank you very much to all of you. Yeah, Christopher, 20 seconds. 20 seconds, respond, and then I'll wrap it up.
You named zero people outside of Donald Trump himself that the Democrats investigated while they were in power. And the reason you name 0 people is because there were 0 people of Donald Trump's family investigated, and there were 0 crimes that James Comer found against President Biden during his tenure in office and his time as vice president. You have no evidence, and that's why
Okay.
you have no case.
Okay, okay. I'll have to wrap it up here. Let's just say, every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. I hope that becomes very clear in American politics for Hunter Biden as well as the others involved. But thank you very much to all of you, Vibhuti Jha, Christopher Hale, and Irina Sukuman, for joining us on Global Mirror and sharing your perspectives. Thank you very much.